Hello and welcome to the second, technically third episode of the Unnamed Political Podcast. I'm your host, Jan Borbat.
I'm your co-host, Clark Wolverter.
And today we're going to be discussing just the Trump phenomenon. You can call it that. You can call it whatever you want.
Yes. So today we're going to be hopefully having three different podcasts. The first of these we'll be discussing Mr. Trump. Donald Trump, he is running for president currently.
Right.
So we're going to mainly discuss his immigration plan, how other Republicans are responding to it, and how they're going to have to respond to Trump in general, and hypothetically what a Trump presidency would be like. Other podcast topics will regard Bernie Sanders and how things would have been different if the other men had won during their respective elections over the past 4 presidential ones. All right, so I guess let's get started with the topic. Jack, so right before we started recording this, I read you some of the key points of Trump's immigration plan. I've been reading about those. Was there anyone that stood out to you particularly?
Well, I mean, he's been mentioning it for weeks, the fact that he's going to build a wall. He's going to have the Mexican government pay for it, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
You do not think that...
It's not possible.
You don't think it's possible?
He's crazy. Plus, I mean... People have been buzzing about the 14th Amendment, how it applies to this, and you have like something. I think they coined the term "anger babies."
So for those of you,
that's what they say.
Okay,
that's for real.
For those of you viewers who don't know, basically, Trump wants to end the concept of birthright citizenship, which is the law in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution that states that any person born in the U.S. is a citizen, no matter what. So that literally means. Some person could jump across the border, have the kid, and come back across the border back to Mexico, and they'd have
in China,
their kids would be U.S. citizens.
China, they come to the U.S. and they have their children in America.
Oh, they do.
And give their kids so their kids have U.S. citizenship.
See, so it's already happened. He would end this. Now, many conservative individuals are calling for a amendment to ban this. They're stating that. The amendment was passed in 1868 and was primarily passed to protect the rights of former slaves who were, I believe, denied citizenship in several southern states on the basis that they had been slaves and such.
Sure.
So many conservatives are claiming that this should no longer be a law, as it's now mainly it's exclusively almost being used to apply to illegal immigrants in that scenario, and I suppose with China, although that's not really being emphasized. So you don't think that the wall, though, is a reasonable or good idea?
Well, I hate to say this, but I don't want to be the East Berlin, and if we build a wall...
You don't want to be East Berlin?
Walls keep us in, but they do keep people out.
Yes, but I mean, it's not exactly like we're going to be cutting off relations with Mexico if we build a wall or anything like that. I don't think a wall is going to be a great deterrent to it, because I mean, clearly we've seen that the fence can be jumped. I believe we watched a video where the record I think is in under 5 seconds, somebody can scale the fence. So I think a wall is an ineffective solution no matter what. I personally, so the other person who I guess has kind of had, who's released an immigration plan, detailed one as well, would be Jeb Bush, who he does not call for the massive construction of a wall on the border, and I think that's
just ridiculous.
It's a smart idea, as I agree with you. It's not going to deter anybody. It's just going to worsen relations with Mexico, which already aren't going to be great if we are deporting illegal aliens, which is another point of his plan and a point of a majority of conservative ideas. Not all of them. Jeb Bush, for example, does not want to deport every single illegal immigrant in our country.
Like Trump. Trump would literally deport your family, even if your family was American. That's why he wants to end birthright citizenship, so he can deport the whole family instead of separating them, which I don't know.
He does have, we apologize if we get some of these facts slightly incorrect, just with the ones that I'm reading and my statements about Jeb Bush's plan. We're trying to give you the teenage perspective on this, in addition to other things. I'll pull up. We were reading also Jeb Bush's plan before we did this, or I was, and I'll try to pull it up.
Jeb Bush.
With his plan, he also, do you think Jeb Bush is how do you think he's going to deal with Trump? Because they've been butting heads over this. Trump's called his plan. I believe Jeb Bush's said that his plan's not grounded in reality,
Yeah, it's
and
not.
Trump has repeatedly insulted Jeb Bush over his policy and other issues. How do you think they will work out?
I couldn't. I'm guaranteeing you Trump will jump out in maybe 6 months.
You think that Trump
Him or Perry is going to drop first.
You think that they will be the first ones to leave?
For sure. They have nothing going. I mean, Trump, he's got some momentum. It's gonna
Trump,
die down.
he's leading. He's leading the polls. He's only 6 points away from Clinton.
It's going to die down.
I do think it's going to die down as people start to move on to more realistic options.
For sure. For sure.
But do you think he will run as an independent in the
No.
event? You don't?
No. And if he does, oh man.
Yes, we covered this in one of our previous episodes.
Lost episode.
Oh, it was in the Lost. Okay, so unfortunately you have never heard this point then, but I believe, are you sure it was? Yes, I think it was. But with this, if he runs as an independent, he will be handing the election to Hillary Clinton.
For sure. He'll split the vote, the Republican vote.
Yes, please. I encourage all conservatives, if Donald Trump runs as an independent, please do not vote for him.
Maybe
You will be
Sanders will run as an
handed.
independent.
That would, I
Split
cannot,
the Democrat vote.
even if he ran as an independent, I cannot see Democrats. I feel that the party would, the Democratic Party is a lot more heavily structured than the Republican Party. The Republican Party is more people who hold similar ideas.
Yeah.
I think the party will tell Sanders to back off if he starts to get too close to beating Hillary, as I think they realize that Hillary is the number one. There's nobody who can compare to Hillary in likelihood to become president.
Right.
I think his main goal is to bring Hillary farther left than she already is, as Hillary's already,
Oh man.
she's pretty far left, but I think he feels she's not liberal enough, and he wants to bring her over, because he's basically now, he's gotten all of the far left Democrats, a vote that is still going to be important to Hillary. She needs to win every one of her own party supporters. They've now moved away from Hillary and onto him, and if she's going to win them back, she's also going to need to show she can be just as liberal, which could hurt her in the long run. But
Hopefully.
hopefully, if you're not a Clinton supporter. But we're going to actually be covering Sanders a little bit later, so I guess we need to move off of that topic. But so back to Trump, with other Republicans reacting to it. So Marco Rubio has he stated, I believe it was yesterday, that he hasn't even, or was it, during this week, I'll just say, that he has not read the immigration plan.
Sounds dumb,
but that he does not think it is, based on like the what he has heard, that he doesn't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely not.
With other Republicans, how do you think this will? Do you think this will cause, kind of with when we discussed Bernie Sanders, do you think this will cause any Republicans to try to be more extreme in their immigration plan, as though to compete with Trump?
I hope not.
I do not think that they will. I think most Republicans realize that Trump, he's
crazy.
a phenomenon.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they try to compete with him this early in the race, they'll be crucifying themselves later on.
I mean, he represents everything that the Republicans try to stay away from.
He is. He is the perfect, I guess, kind of liberal, like what liberals want you to believe that conservatives are, and what conservatives don't want you to believe that they are.
But they're not.
Which they are.
They aren't at all.
They're not. Yes. As both of us, I would say, are more right-leaning individuals. We do not support Donald Trump. I think he's a good businessman, not one of the best, but he can be a good businessman, but he is not a good politician. Now, with how other Republicans are reacting to this, do you think that Donald Trump will be... So you've said that you think that Donald Trump will be the first person to drop out. Do you think he will try to pressure anybody else out of the race first? Try to take others down with him?
Lindsey Graham?
Well, I'm just saying, like, in the sense that he will basically try to become so far right, or imitate others' policies, that he will destroy, like, other people's perception of them, or if he realizes he can't win the Republican vote, basically take down as many Republicans as he can by just kind of destroying them in the eyes of the media, which he's already doing a reasonably good job of, although, albeit not intentionally.
I feel like if you wanted to destroy the Republican candidates, he'd just run as a third party, though.
Well, he would
run pressuring them.
Yes, but I feel like, well, I'm just mean, if he really wants to kind of take people down, do you think he will try to just go as far as he can, try to just ruin the impression people have of it? Do you think he'll kind of be angry?
I hope not. Again.
I hope
knows?
not either. He is trying, though, to, I think, win the American vote. He's going to be featured on the cover of Time magazine.
Is it really?
One of the newer issues. Yes, he had a very interesting photo shoot. If you guys get to get your hands on Issue of Time, he actually, and this is true, I am not making this up, got a live bald eagle. They put it in his office for the photo shoot. They have him with an eagle on his shoulder.
That's pretty cool.
Giving me a thumbs up. I mean, he is really pulling out. This is his version of, I think, Machine Gun Bacon. Trying to
be cool.
Unfortunately, yeah, I do not think. In Trump's case, it might work because it's less gimmicky and more just completely trying to be all American. Like with Lindsey Graham's cell phone thing and Donald Trump.
I like that.
Or not Donald Trump, and Ted Cruz Machine Gun Bacon. That was. Oh,
I like the Lindsey Graham one. That was pretty good.
Lindsey Graham. Why is he running?
Yeah, man. Kind of depressed. Well, I mean, most of them shouldn't be running.
The majority of them. I feel like I understand that you need like an open party, but I mean, this is ridiculous with how many people are running. With people you thought drop out, why do you think Rick Perry?
I mean, what have you seen Rick Perry do in the news lately? He's getting the least probably coverage next to, Pataki, you probably never heard of. I mean, he gets no coverage. He's doing abysmal in the polls, just like most of the lower guys. And I don't remember how he did at the debate, but I don't know if he did that good. I don't think he did okay.
Well, that's the thing. Fiona, she's just been Carly, I guess.
She's doing pretty good.
She is, I think, could actually kind of bump off one of the people, like in the, I guess if you want to consider the people who were in the junior debate as the JV team and the people who were in the upper debate in the Fox News debates as the varsity team. I feel like she can move up to the varsity team. If she does, who do you think would be the person she displaces? Who do you think she's going to bump off?
Let me think for a second. Probably Christie.
You think she'd bump off Christie?
Yeah. Christie was the least pulled in the top 10.
Okay.
It was between him and Perry.
It was between, he beat out Perry for the spot on the varsity team, I suppose. Yes. So you think, okay, I can see it, but do you know how Rand Paul's doing?
He's doing better than Christie.
He is?
He's one of the top
because they were
five.
butting heads during the debate. All right.
I think he's top 5, for sure.
So I can agree with that. I'm a little bit biased in Christie's favor as I lived in New Jersey for a few years. Please do not think that I am, that Jersey Shore is in any way representative of that great state.
Because it is.
Because it's not. They have destroyed it. Woodrow Wilson, Princeton University, Thomas Edison, those are what should come to mind when you think of New Jersey, not Snooki. But I no longer live there, so I wasn't even born there, so I'm good on that part. I am not fully Jersey if you are really hating them. But back to the issues at hand. So who do you think will be, if we get to a final 5 Republican candidates, who do you think they will be, based on what you know now?
Well, I hope Trump drops out. So minus Trump, Bush for sure. I think Rubio.
Consistently around second.
Rubio, Walker, probably Carson. Carson would definitely be in there.
You can see Carson? I can. He's been moving up. At first, he wasn't doing so good, but the debate, I think he probably helped himself the most, or maybe not the most, but he definitely helped himself more than most at the debate.
And I'd say 3-way tie between Paul. Personally, I like Kasich a little bit. And
you do?
I do. I think he's probably my third choice for president. Kasich or Paul. It's a 3-way tie.
Between, you think?
Paul, Kasich, and who did I say?
Carson?
Yeah, I think so.
So you think it would be Bush? Who would be your 5th person, though, if you think, for people who could, if we narrow it down to 5, you said Trump would drop out?
Yeah, I said Bush, Carson, Rubio, Walker, maybe Kasich or Paul.
Okay. I can, obviously Bush.
Or Huckabee.
Yeah, he was who I was thinking. I think Huckabee, he's gaining traction with Republicans. He's not gaining traction with Democrats whatsoever.
He's one of those more conservative Republicans.
But I'm surprised you don't think Cruz. You think he will not be up there?
No, he's too,
Okay. You in the past though, you've said you liked Cruz.
I do. I think he's a great speaker. That's my favorite part about him. He speaks. He's the best one of all of them.
He cannot win. I do not picture him being in the top 5 either.
No.
Well, he is though.
I think he's at 6.
He's kind of the face of the Tea Party though, so I can see him being in the top 5. I hope he's not.
6. Definitely a 6.
So yeah, for me, I would definitely say Bush. So far, Rubio is doing very well for himself. Carson's doing well for himself.
Walker,
he's in the Iowa caucus. He actually, I believe, is beating Bush.
Is he beating Trump?
No, I don't believe anybody's beating Trump currently. But yeah, Walker, I definitely. But and for a fifth person, I don't know, Kasich maybe.
I do like Kasich a lot.
Nah, I
Paul?
can see him. Paul
Huckabee?
No. Paul or Huckabee, like I said, making inroads with Republican voters. Can't really see him. I just don't feel like he really has enough momentum to carry himself through the whole thing.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely.
In terms of so both of us, we obviously believe that Jeb Bush is the most likely Republican
And the most qualified.
I think he's the most qualified as well. Who do you think his running mate could be?
Rubio, definitely.
You think Rubio? I like Rubio, but I don't think that he will pick him. Why
He's just not ready for president.
Like Trudeau? It's not just that. It's just the fact that they're both Floridians. Floridans. They're both from Florida. Well, it's just the problem is like with a lot of it, they with the running mate, some of it, as we've seen historically, is picked by who they will help, I guess, unlock the voters to.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Lincoln picked Johnson to help win the kind of more indecisive people who didn't like Lincoln very much. I believe Kennedy picked, again, Johnson, interestingly, different one, to get the Southern vote.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of that. But, I mean,
He could pick Kasich. Kasich would be. I doubt that would happen. But
yeah, it is up there.
I
Do
like
you think the vice president candidate will be from the current pool of candidates, or you think it could be somebody else entirely?
I think it would be.
Yeah, it would be.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of them.
There are. Okay. You think Trump could have any part to play in the future of the government, assuming
He's saying as vice president, he's thinking of Mark Cuban.
he would like? Oh, so okay.
And Mark Cuban said maybe, so.
That would be very interesting. That businessman couple.
That's when America ends.
That would destroy Cuban, though. I'm just saying that he would ruin himself.
He'd be the richest vice president for sure
of
all time.
Yeah, probably.
Trump would be richest president of all time.
Yeah, I think I can actually.
Well, it depends what Kennedy's net worth is today, because I think it was $1 billion.
I mean, you can't really compare it. I'd probably, if you compared it to today in Washington, I guess, because I mean, anything he touched is worth quite a lot. But that's Trump. But if you think everything he drops out, please, he does not run independent. Do you think he will ever run again, or you think this is kind
he's done.
I think, yeah, and also
I think he's done.
Business-wise, I feel like he's burned way too many bridges. Also,
he has nothing to lose, actually. So he could run as an independent, given he has, again, nothing to lose.
Well, he has stuff.
He's lost so many business deals.
He's lost Macy's. He's lost the Celebrity Apprentice. He's just It was
valued at $600 million for the amount of money he lost. Plus, he says he's going to spend up to $1 billion on his campaign.
Up to how many?
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Okay, yeah. So he's pulling in all the stops. I feel like though this election will kind of. You will not be hearing about Donald. Like it'll kind of be.
Hope it dies down.
He's spiking, but once he dies down, he will stay died down.
I hope so.
I mean, when was the last time you heard about Ross Perot?
96.
Yeah, we haven't heard about him since when people thought briefly that he might run again. We, of course,
he did run again in 96.
He did run again in 96?
He ran as, I think it was either Reform or the Texas Party.
I did not. I thought after 92 he was done.
No, he ran in 96 too.
Okay,
I don't know if he won by that much. But
I mean, nobody really hears about him with many of the other
He's old now. He's like probably 80-something, yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I am... But that's the thing, though. I mean, like, after 92 is when he had the highest. He actually, as an independent, was...
He split the Republican vote.
He definitely split the Republican vote. But for a while, though, actually, in the months leading up to election, he was beating both Bush Sr. and Clinton. So, for all we know, he could have... If he had been able to keep the lead he had, we could have had an independent president. Been very interesting. Now, speaking of an independent president, hypothetically speaking, if... the 1 in a million chance happens, what do you think a Trump presidency would be like? What would that mean for America?
Approval ratings dive down, record lows.
Well, I mean, but if he's popular enough to get elected, that means he's got to have around, I know Electoral College is a little
decent
weird,
amount.
around 50% of the country likes him.
Well...
You think, like, what will that mean for foreign policy, aside from immigration? How do you think he'll react to the rest of the world?
I think it's going to be pretty negative. Like, towards everyone's going to be kind of rude.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see him offending some of our allies one way or another. I can completely see on the news him saying something about the French or something like that.
Yeah, on the economy, I think someone did a study on how his, economic plans could affect the economy, and it was like 1.8 million jobs lost.
Yes, but I mean, do you know who did that study?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It's some research center, so it's
Okay,
credible.
so it's hopefully, yeah. But the good thing I can see though is, so with Obama and foreign policy,
Yeah.
to the world, we basically shown that we can be walked over and we won't do anything about it. But I mean, I feel like with Trump,
Pretty passive.
people are just going to be like, holy crap, the Americans are insane.
And his plans against.
He will be very hardcore though. We can definitely see that.
But he's iconic.
He will be iconic. He will be remembered. He will most likely not be remembered positively, but he will go down in the history books, most definitely.
For sure. It's not a Reagan.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, Reagan.
They're both celebrities.
A lot of the candidates at the debate were emphasizing callbacks to Reagan. Do you think these guys are hoping to be the next Reagan?
Everyone wants to be the next Reagan, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Everybody does want to be next, but I feel like if they're just really emphasizing it, I guess they want a new conservative.
Because they're reminding people.
Boom.
They're reminding people who Reagan was, and that they want to try to be the next Reagan.
And I think they want to be able to kind of reunite the country under a conservative banner like Reagan did.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because also, we probably are more poised than ever before because if you look at it, basically, if you look at history, FDR was kind of the exception to this, but the Greatest Generation was, I guess, based especially on how they have voted later, was a generally conservative
For sure.
Group, or they just had more conservative policies. I mean, FDR was, by today's standards, much more he was definitely a liberal president economically, but he was nowhere near as liberal as they are today at all.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But, so that generation had the baby boomers, specifically, I mean, overall, they were more of a mixed generation, but they did definitely have the very, very vocal group of the 1960s counterculture, and those guys, I guess the hippies,
For sure.
you called them, but then they had the group that grew up under the 80s, which were like the kind of conservatives, the second wave of conservatives.
Yep.
Now we've had the millennials, a generation that has had very vocal liberals, but
Very.
you and I,
Socialist.
yes,
liberals.
definitely socialists, the hipster movement, I guess the spiritual continuation of the hippie movement.
Yeah, for sure.
But obviously, we being proof of it, there are still some few conservatives, or at least somewhat right-leaning individuals, center-right, in the millennial group.
Millennials.
Jack and I included, and now we could be poised to have a new boom of
I
conservatism.
feel like this next generation is going to be conservative.
Based on that, I am nervous. I do not think, I don't think it will. I think it will be more of the issue where not conservative by our standards, but I think they could be conservative by their standards, I suppose.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, for us, conservative typically includes many social issues that have now been settled. Not to delve into our personal opinions on the matter, but a majority of conservatives have been opposed to gay marriage and such like that. Now the gay marriage issue has pretty much been resolved, regardless of what your opinion is on it. It doesn't seem like there's much we can do about that, regardless of how you stood. So I feel like if we have a future generation, I think, and also with Reagan, it could be much more of a economically conservative, but socially more centered.
Centered, yeah.
Possibly liberal.
Probably liberal. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. Well, yes, definitely. We have noticed, I guess, throughout generations, consistently, people have become more and more liberal.
Definitely.
I guess.
Yeah.
We may reach a point where people have decided, okay, it was a slippery slope. We've gone too far. We need to back up a little bit, but you never know.
Who do you think is the most liberal president?
Most liberal president we've ever had.
Obama or Carter?
Well, I mean, probably Obama, just because he's the most modern president.
Right.
In the most modern, and now, I guess the Democrats have never been more liberal in their history. Yeah, I would go with that. For their time, who do you think would be the most liberal or conservative president for their time?
Probably Carter.
You think?
Because I consider the second more liberal. He would probably be the second more liberal, from FDR on.
You don't think
But
Clinton?
I think at the time.
Clinton and Kennedy?
No. Clinton was more of a left center.
You think he was more center left? So yeah, That will be. Do you think Hillary will hold any of?
No, she's almost a socialist,
She's
she has to be in this
Yeah,
bullshit.
when we get to Sanders, we will definitely cover that.
Who do you think from FDR on's the most conservative president?
Most conservative. That is. That's
I'd
hard.
say either Reagan or George W. Bush.
I would say probably George W. is definitely up there. I mean Eisenhower, I can see.
I'd say George W. Bush.
You think
He's
George
probably the
W.
most
Bush?
conservative.
George W. Bush I can see being probably the most based, especially on foreign policy. And back to Trump, how do you think he will react to the threats from Russia and Iran in Ukraine?
I hope it doesn't
Nuclear.
involve ground troops and invading them. Given his position in the Middle East, that's not too far off.
Yeah, nobody I think wants a war with Russia. We've been
World War III.
tenuously trying to avoid that since 1945.
Yeah, and so
War with
far
Iran.
successfully avoiding it.
With Iran we've been slightly less successfully, but still trying to have diplomatic measures with them since '79. It seems as though we may be losing in terms of diplomacy as we are now
Under the Obama.
getting walked over. Again, with Obama, I feel we will have the Trump in terms of foreign policy could be the anti-Obama, where Obama has let everybody walk over them. Trump will stomp on everybody.
He's probably going to revoke, if he was president, he's probably going to take back all the executive orders Obama put in place.
I can see him taking it. I believe
You can.
can. Yes, I can. Well, I mean, a lot of presidents will typically.
Especially for the immigration one.
Oh yes, I can completely see
Amnesty.
destroying amnesty. And with Trump as a president, do you think that Republicans will work with him? Assume that the Republicans maintain their majority in the House and the Senate. Do you think there will be gridlock between the two of them?
There could be a political civil war in the Republican.
You think it could be? Because I wouldn't exactly. Trump's not.
Graham would hate him.
But he's very far right.
Half the
yes.
Republicans would hate him. Most of the presidential candidates don't like him.
Oh yeah, it would be very bad for the Republican. Like people thought the Tea Party was a threat to the Republican Party. Hopefully, I think Republicans have started to heal the wounds of that the Tea Party split has given them. Maybe not completely, of course, but Trump would start a whole new.
Call him a Trumpian.
Trumpian, yeah. Here's a quick game. What do you think if Trump runs as an independent? What do you think his party will be called?
Trumpian doesn't sound too bad.
Trumpian. I can see that.
Trumpian party, or elect Trump party, or just as an independent in general.
Make America Great Party or something.
That'll make America great again. That wouldn't be a bad one.
Yeah, I believe that slogan. I believe was Reagan's. Right?
It was Reagan. I think
But it was
80s.
Let's make America great again. So he's subtracted the let's.
Yeah, he's not going to completely copy it.
Yeah.
He's trying to, again, compare his campaign.
I think that
to
again goes
Reagan's.
with people comparing their campaigns to Reagan.
Because you kind of need that right now, given where the Republicans are,
But
where the country's headed.
do any other major candidates? Do any of them have slogans yet? A lot of them have logos. Of course, Jab and Hillary have theirs.
I couldn't tell you. I think, no.
Yeah, but so I guess we don't really see that. Do you think at what point do you think Trump? What would have to happen for Trump to say, "I'm done. I can't. I have to drop out"?
A scandal.
You don't. So you think he will? Not
scandal.
jump out of the whole race altogether. But I mean, at what point do you think Trump will decide I can no longer run as a Republican?
Like, in terms of time?
What will have to happen? Will it have to be people just start swaying towards somebody else? Will it have to be disagreements over policy with the majority of voters?
It's got to be I don't think he's so stubborn. I doubt he'll care if
He'll just pull out at the point he thinks he can know once it's
or when
clear.
he's forced to get out.
Or if he loses either one. Do you think he'll drop out before the Republican nominee is before the caucuses?
I think so. It would make sense. I mean, he's not serious. That's what I was saying the day after he ran. I'm like, he's not serious. He's not really doing this. But then, it was kind of quiet for a week. But when he said the immigration comments got discovered, even though they were on the speech, no one really cared at first. But
when they became publicized.
Exactly. And when all the stuff about John McCain, say what you want, and all the stuff that happens.
Oh yeah, the veterans thing. That was uncalled for.
And he didn't drop at all. He rose because
that was He could be a Teflon president like Reagan.
Because people know that he's not afraid to say things.
Well, it is kind of interesting. That is on the cover of Time. It just says it's
not
like his
many other
name,
presidents
the
do
caption,
that.
Deal with it.
Right.
And that is very much, he's very unapologetic, which I guess is gaining traction, definitely with some conservatives. But I mean, with him, he is definitely contributing to the political divide we see in the country. I mean, he's basically creating the image of you either have Sanders socialists or Trump hardcore conservatives, I guess. But even then, he like we've said, he's not a Tea Party conservative, but he is a new branch of far-right Republican.
On a completely kind of unrelated note, have you seen that video with him and Rudy Giuliani?
I've not
That was
seen it.
taken in 2000.
No, please.
It's like 30 seconds long. No, it has nothing to do with politics.
It's just an amusing video.
I think it's a commercial. He just walks in. I'll try to explain it the best I can, but Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani is like a cross. I'm not kidding. Rudy Giuliani actually did this. Rudy Giuliani dresses up as a mayor, and she's in this. I'm not kidding. And he walks in the store.
Was fake.
Donald Trump's there.
Fake.
I'm not kidding.
This was Saturday Night Live or something?
No, it says like mayor. It's like a roast for the mayor.
The actual mayor of New York.
It was in 2000, yeah. And Rudy Giuliani was
Dressed as a
cross-dressing.
woman.
Yes.
Cross-dressing.
And
Oh man,
Donald Trump comes up and says, "Ooh, you look beautiful. Someone has to have a great perfume for you." And she sprays it on her face. And then Donald Trump comes in, smells like his cheek, and she's like, "I like that." And she's like, "Well, how about here?" And he sprays it on her,
Oh gosh.
And then Donald Trump comes in and like,
you're serious?
motorboats it. I'm not kidding. I swear to God. And then Rudy's like, get away from here, and he slaps him off. It's
okay, I guess this could come back.
It's got like 2 million views on YouTube.
Okay, this should be a hurtful video for Mr. Trump, I suppose.
Yeah, viewers, check that out.
I need to check that. I am shocked, but I was born under Giuliani's.
Check it out. Guys.
Under his glorious New York. I'm now rethinking him altogether. In my opinion.
It's a good video.
I am. Wow.
That was amusing.
All right. Well.
You want to call it done?
I suppose. I believe we're trying to keep these short. We're going to be doing 2 more today, ideally, around this same length. We think.
And we'll try to get them out.
30 minutes would be a few things. We're going to try to get these out as soon as we can.
Maybe even all 3 in one day. We'll see.
We may do that.
We'll
all right.
see.
So we're signing off. I'm your host, Clark Wahlberger.
And I'm Jack Horvath, and thanks for listening to another episode of the Unnamed Political Podcast.
And please, if anybody is listening to this at the end, one of our, so far I believe, 47 viewers.
It was 51. It came up to 51.
Oh, wow. Okay, if you are one of our over 50 viewers, that sounds much better. Over 50 viewers, please suggest names in the comment below, as Unnamed Podcast and Political Podcast are already taken, and we need to differentiate ourselves from the crowd.
Well, I don't know. Unnamed Political Podcast is on the first search.
It is.
It's not the first search. So, I mean, if it gets a little bit more traction, we could keep it.
If you want us to keep the name, also tell us.
It's kind of hard to transition.
If you think you have better, I don't think so. Well, we'll debate it. Just so in the comments below, tell us what you think about it. Anything you want to see in the future topics, anything, suggestions, improvements you have.
For sure.
Constructive criticism, please tell us. We want to improve any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. We'll be back soon.
Adieu.